Welcome to the Stock Guy Analysis. Today we're digging into a prediction that's so massive it's got the entire crypto world buzzing. It's a forecast that's turning heads everywhere from Wall Street all the way down to Main Street. And there it is. $12,000 for a single Ethereum token. We're talking about a potential moonshot from where we are now. And you can bet that's what has everyone talking. But here's the real question, right? What is actually behind this number? Is this just a bunch of market hype? Is it wishful thinking from people who are already invested? Or is there something more? Is there some real data, some solid analysis backing this thing up? All right, let's get into it. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this all down. We're going to look at the case for a $12,000 Ethereum piece by piece. We'll follow the big money, see what the market charts are signaling, check the vibe from the crowd, and then dig into what the blockchain data itself is telling us. So, let's kick things off with our very first exhibit, the money flow. You know, when the big corporations and the giant asset managers start making moves, you really got to pay attention. And wow, here's a perfect example. $281 million, that's how much a single publicly traded company, Bitmine, went out and spent on Ethereum. And they did it in a really short amount of time. Just let that sink in for a second. That one company is now sitting on over 3.2 million ETH tokens. This isn't just, dipping a toe in the water. This is a full-on cannonball. It's a massive signal of some serious corporate conviction in where Ethereum is headed long-term. And they are definitely not the only ones at the party. We're hearing reports that giants like BlackRock and Vanguard are just strategically scooping up billions of dollars worth of ETH, especially whenever the price takes a little dip. This kind of sustained buying from the biggest names on Wall Street, well, it feels like a fundamental shift in how the old guard of finance sees this asset. So, this flood of institutional cash, well, it's the main reason we're seeing some incredibly bullish predictions. Some of the sharpest analysts out there are on record saying they're targeting not just $12,000 but maybe even $15,000 by the end of the year. And they point directly to this Wall Street capital as the main engine. Okay, so the big money is definitely in. That much is clear. But what about the market's own language? What are the price charts themselves telling the analysts who live and breathe these patterns? Now, this is where it gets really juicy. Some analysts are looking at Ethereum's chart and getting this serious sense of déjà vu. They're saying it looks almost identical to the chart for gold right before it went on an absolutely legendary price run. You see that old ceiling? That price it just couldn't seem to break? Well, it just smashed right through it. And now that old ceiling is acting as the new floor for traders. That's a classic bullish sign. Yeah, traders have a name for this whole setup. They call it the anatomy of a bullish breakout. It's like a 4-act play. Act 1, a long kind of boring downtrend. Act 2, bam, the price finally gets the momentum to break through that resistance. Act 3, and this is the really critical part, it comes back down, tests that old ceiling, and it holds as new support. So what's Act 4? Well, according to the playbook, that's the big move up. And the next logical target on the map, you guessed it, $12,000. All right, so we've got the institutions, we've got the charts lining up, but what about the people, the vibe? Let's move on to Exhibit C and listen to the roar of the crowd. I love this quote because it just perfectly captures the mood right now. It's not just optimistic, it's a belief that even the most optimistic people out there might be underestimating how big this next move could be. The excitement is just off the charts. And this is a view you see everywhere online. People aren't looking at the current price range as a top. Not at all. They're calling it the launch pad. Like this is the market building a solid base before the final ascent. And listen, this isn't just talk. You can see it in the market action. Commentators are pointing out that any little price dip is getting met with just aggressive buying. The language people are using is incredible. Things like the market is loading for nuclear sends. I mean, seriously, just try to find someone who's bearish right now. It's almost impossible. The conviction is pulpable. So, the sentiment is through the roof. But let's move past to the feelings for a second and look at the cold hard data. Let's look at the evidence coming directly from the Ethereum blockchain itself. This is where you get a totally transparent view of what's really going on. And check this out. This is a huge metric. Right now, over 95% of all Ethereum in circulation is being held at a profit. Think about what that means. Almost nobody is underwater on their investment. And historically, when pretty much everyone is in the green, there's way less pressure for people to sell. It's a classic setup for, well, market euphoria. But at the exact same time, something really important is happening with the supply. The amount of ETH that's actually available to buy on exchanges, it's hitting record lows. People are pulling their coins off, probably locking them away for the long term. So you have less available to buy and way more money is showing up to buy it. In just a single 24-hour period, we saw nearly $1 billion in fresh stable coins, digital dollars, flow into the market. That's a massive pile of dry powder just sitting on the sidelines ready to pounce. So what happens when we piece all of this evidence together? We've got the institutional money, the technical charts, the social vibe, and the on-chain data. What's the complete picture look like? Well, a huge part of the case boils down to this classic economic idea, a supply squeeze. It's really basic economics, right? What happens when you have fewer and fewer things for sale, but more and more people with cash are lining up wanting to buy? The price really only has one direction to go, and that's up. So, you can see how this all feels like a perfect storm brewing. You've got this institutional tsunami of cash flooding in. The charts are screaming breakout and look just like past historic moves. The on-chain data shows the supply is literally vanishing while the buying power is exploding. You throw in that insane level of social conviction plus major network upgrades on the horizon. It's just a powerful cocktail of bullish factors all pointing in the same direction. When you lay out all the evidence like this, the case is pretty compelling. You have to admit it's a multi-layered argument that's built on real money, technical patterns, hard data, and human psychology. Together, it really does paint a picture of a market that's coiled up like a spring, leaving just one final question for the market itself to answer. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.